Carl Lawson, Jordan Phillips. I got my guy, Cowboys Beat here, Chris. You know, this is something that, once again, a little bit past due. We need to be more frequent with these types of meetings, man. But the Cowboys are finally making some moves, and so we're here to break it all down for y'all. And I guess we're gonna go ahead and get the anthem in, because it's a little bit of foreshadowing for the fans out there. But Carl Lawson and Jordan Phillips. Here's the teaser, and then I'm gonna hand the floor over to you, my man. Is it enough? And is somebody else on the way?
Well, first off, I want to say the way you introduced this with Jordan Phillips, Carl Lawson, and then Chris. One person doesn't belong in that. And with those,
one of these
other
is
guys.
not like the other.
Yeah. One of those names do not belong there. Yeah. But look, there's no doubt about it. Carl Lawson and Jordan Phillips make the Cowboys a better football team. How much better? We can argue that. But I think the reason why Cowboys fans are excited about these moves is because this is a position that they needed to address. They needed to add depth to this defensive line. We'll see if they decide to add more guys to this defensive line, because I'm not sure if they're finished adding guys. But for the current moment, they made their roster better. And at the very least, they deserve credit for that, because it's not like they gave up a bunch of capital for these guys. They didn't. I mean,
it fits their bargain shopping method without question,
Yeah, for sure. It was a it was a 6th round pick that you gave up for a 7th round pick and Jordan Phillips. I think Jordan Phillips is going to be a rotational defensive lineman on this team. You should probably cap him at about 20 reps a game. And if you can do that and just ask him to play a certain role for this team, I think he could be productive in that role.
No question. So let me just go ahead and first preface everything I'm about to say with this right here, okay? I said this rather tongue-in-cheek on my reel that was posted that some of you guys probably already saw. That's on TikTok, Twitter. It's on all the socials already. And then as in word form on X, Twitter, whichever one you want to call it, that this is not so much Kool-Aid as it is just a breath of fresh air, some relief for people that are really in the know, really plugged in, and understand the state of this defensive tackle position on this Cowboys roster prior to the acquisition of Jordan Phillips. Right? This is not Kool-Aid as much as it is a breath of fresh air for the Cowboys now to finally have the bare minimum requirement depth at what was previously a gaping hole. It's just a freaking sinkhole, man. Glaring. So this, to me, it's exciting. It's significant, not because of, you're getting some all-world caliber player, but you're just getting a guy that's played and proven himself in this league before on the interior, outside of just Oso Digizua. Okay, so that's thing number one. It's you now have the minimum required depth to go ahead and play real-life NFL football on Sundays. So that's a massive check mark for us before we even begin to talk about anything regarding the skill sets with either of these two guys right here, okay? Now, next point that I want to make and make clear, okay? I initially, right, you said yourself you had to, obviously, neither of us are pretending like we knew everything about this player before this move was made, right? We had to go do some homework on it, okay? So last night after the live stream, I did a little bit extra digging, and then my guy, Ben Larimore, reached out to me, and he brought this to my attention. So I made the assumption based on the profile, the 6'6", 340 stuff, that go along with his name, and you see obviously the letters DT attached to it. I'm like, okay, this is a one tech. It's got to be, and purely that. Like, this is a run stuffing one tech. Turns out that's actually not the case. All right, and I've got some numbers for you here. I sent them over your way as well, so that you wouldn't be too caught off guard by this. I certainly was a little bit surprised when he sent it, but Carl or Jordan Phillips over his career, throughout his career, let me see if I can get these pulled up here. His snap share, or his percentage of snaps inside at either 0 or 1 tech, it's like less than 30%. So this guy literally, not only, like, you can see the length and the quickness that he's got getting off the line of scrimmage. He plays with some power, but he's a fluid athlete for his size, man. But this guy has 70% of his reps at B, C, and even beyond that. You mentioned a second ago wide 9 techniques, playing some wide 9 at in Buffalo under Sean McDermott. And so here's the snap percentage for over his career, okay? And this is just regular season alone. So he's got a total of 367. I'm going to put this in the chat too. 367 at one tech. 2,490. Let's go ahead and get a little background music for y'all while we wait here. 2,490 at B gap, which is 3 techniques. So think Oso Digizua. $735 snaps at 5 tech, which is essentially lined up over tackle. A lot of times where you see your traditional edge, somebody like Marcus Lawrence. You guys know the drill there at 5 tech. And then 60 snaps outside the tackle, which is what you were mentioning. That's kind of falls into the category of the wide 9, where he's just split way outside the tackle box. So I just found that interesting. It's I jumped the gun on him just by looking at his height, right? I pigeonholed him into being just this one technique run stopping body type, just because that's where my mind has been all along because of just the glaring hole on the roster, right? And I called it, and I don't think this is hyperbolic. Chris, you can tell me if it is. How many position rooms for any team at any position across the NFL rival the weakness and the unproven nature of the Cowboys' defensive tackle spot? One and or 3 tech. You can lump them in together if you want to.
I'll give you a unit. I'll give you a unit right now.
I know
Eagles
what
linebackers.
What is it?
The Eagles linebackers.
There you go. That's interesting too. So, needless to say, though, okay, and we're throwing jabs at the Eagles here as we regularly do, as we like to just have fun with the situation. But they were in a tough spot. So interesting that now, to me, this signals, and this is going to segue into our next point. And Chris got some clips for you pulled up that I want him to show as well. And actually, you know what, Chris? I'm gonna let you do that real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and bite my tongue on the teaser, and I'm gonna let you play that, and then we'll keep.
Okay, you don't mind adding that to the stage here?
I got you, brother. If you're ready, you say the word.
Yeah, you can add it. Yeah.
Cool. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go full breakdown here, but you see 97 Jordan Phillips. He's lined up over Tyron Smith 77. So you're going to see that's like that wide 9 technique type. And you're going to see they're going to execute a stunt here. And I don't know how good the video quality is. I don't know if it's actually going, but let me play it from the beginning.
There it goes. Yeah, it's okay. It's a little jumpy, but you can at least, you got enough of a visual to see exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you see what's going on here, though. They're about to sack the quarterback there. You can remove that if you want. Jordan Phillips ends up. Jordan Phillips ends up.
Point. I'll pull up some other clips from Twitter so it's a little bit more clear for us.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan Phillips there sacks the quarterback. One thing about Jordan Phillips that I gathered from watching tape is, and this is a positive and a negative, I would say that Jordan Phillips is a lot quicker than a guy who's 6'6", 340.
Yeah,
but I don't
play like it for sure.
I don't think he's as powerful as a guy with that physical stature. It's not a bad thing per se. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, I think he'll be able to contribute for you. And to be honest with you, I know you and Akuye talked about this last night. I would still go out there. I'd go get Linval Joseph, and I'd go sign Yannick Ngakoue if I could as well. Why not make this? There are quality players out there in free agency. You have the cap space to go get some of these guys. Go out there and make your football team better. Feel better about your football team come week 1. Because how much better would you feel about this football team if they went and they added a Yannick Ngakoue, a Linval Joseph to go along with the acquisitions of Carl Lawson and Jordan Phillips with the defensive line that you already had. I'd feel a lot better about this team if that was the case.
So from your lips to God's ears, man, you literally took the tease. I mean, obviously the teaser's in the thumbnail. You guys clicked on the video. You kind of know where this is going anyways. All right. But I wanted to sort of slow play it a little bit just because to exactly what you're saying. And I mentioned this earlier too. Just think about the difference, okay? You go from just in a span of days, and once again, I've operated for months now, and it's been mentioned all over the place that I've operated as if Linval Joseph is already a member of the Dallas Cowboys, okay? He's just not here yet, and I got a clip for you that I'm going to play here in just a second, but he's on his way, okay? But just think about where you were just before 2 days ago. Just go ahead and, in your mind, include Linval Joseph into this equation. All right, you go from Mozzie Smith and Oso Odigizua at the top of your rotation, and then I guess your next two men up. Now that we know from Mike Zimmer himself that Chauncey Golston is going to be playing a lot more on the edge, which is I mean it's not. If you got a pair of eyes, you can tell that that's where he's best suited. Okay, so it was literally going to be Mozzie Smith, who is still, in my mind, a rookie, okay, after everything that he's gone through, trying to get his body back right, rehabbing from the shoulder, and then literally undoing some of these bad habits that he's picked up that we've seen Jeff Zanina trying to coach him out of, okay? So you got Mozzie, who is an unproven rookie, in my head. Oso Odigizua, above average for sure, but the last couple years, towards the tail end of the season, because he's just going to war on the inside and they don't have a ton of depth to sort of spell him in there. His body's worn down on him. Let's be honest about that, right? And then behind that, your depth at that position was Carl Davis, who really hasn't been relevant in this league since 2019, and a 7th-round rookie, Justin Rogers. So now all of a sudden you're talking about 2 10-year veterans who are more than serviceable at their positions, have been. If you're in this league for 10 years, that's 2 contracts and then some, right? You make it to your 2nd contract, you're considered a hit. You were a hit for the team that drafted you, right? So we're 3, 4, 5 contracts in now for these veterans here, right? And that's before you even get to the guy that we still have reasonable, if not much higher expectations for, Mozzie Smith, and then a guy like Oso Odigizua, who for the first 12 games of the year, each of the last 2 seasons, his first couple years in the league, he's playing like an all-pro.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So things look a lot different and for the better. That's kind of the whole point of this. Now, before we just get any further, let me go ahead and just play this clip for you guys real quick, and let's get me back here. Let's get us both back on front and center. This is from Mike Fisher, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. A guy that gave me a shot before anybody did. And it was actually, truth be told, candidly, and I've told him this, I've mentioned it to him a few different times now, that I was too young, dumb, and naive to understand what he was doing for me when he actually did. And so in a lot of ways, I'm somewhat remorseful about the way that I sort of handled it, because at the time I was still playing baseball, and so I was so focused selfishly on me and my professional playing career that I guess I wasn't in a mind state to fully grasp and appreciate the opportunity that was presented to me. Okay, so long story short, he offered me the ability to help him and contribute to and build his YouTube channel when he was pretty much decided to make the jump full time. So this is just all that to say, I just wanted to that really means nothing to what I'm about to say here, but just a candid and heartfelt thank you to Mike Fisher, who gave me a shot and at the time motivated me to the point to where I really started to believe in myself in this industry. And so that was all it took. That was enough. Just one person saying, "Hey man, let's go work with me." Now I wish I would have handled it a little bit differently, but maybe if I did, then my platform wouldn't be where it is today too on various different socials. So who knows, man? Everything happens for a reason. I believe that firmly. right where my feet are and where God wants me to be. But without further ado, here's the clip from Mike Fisher from his YouTube channel. I believe it was this morning in regards to one Linval Joseph.
A first phone call was made to Linval Joseph. This is a Mike Zimmer guy. He is an immovable nose tackle guy. Now he's in his 30s, and he's been a Pro Bowler. He's not that anymore. He's just a big, gigantic body who knows how to eat up space. What I don't know about Linval Joseph is, did he tell Mike Zimmer, who I'm pretty sure was on the call, did he tell Mike Zimmer no or not yet?
Did he tell Mike Zimmer no or not yet? So that's where it's important to consider. Okay, we mentioned he's a 10-year veteran. Here's Mike's page for anybody who's unfamiliar. You guys can you can see who he is and what he looks like. His YouTube channel is just Mike Fisher on YouTube.
We got the same quarters at.
Pretty plain and simple. That's a clean one right there, man. I like that. That's a good look.
Under Armour light blue one.
Mike's got it going on. Yeah. So anyway, shout out to Mike, man. But so what's important there? The very end of his of that clip that you just heard, you heard him say no or not yet. And to me, it's if you've been seeing any of my stuff in regards to Linval Joseph, it's not yet, because why? You're a 10-year veteran in this league. Them big boys want no part of training camp, right? Getting out there in the heat and doing all this extra mundane and monotonous work that he's all too familiar with, especially given the history and the pedigree that he has playing in Mike Zimmer's system. He knows the system already, so the familiarity is there, which is, once again, it wasn't difficult. It's not like I'm not trying to say that I was alone in predicting this, but I've just been outspoken about it because I know the connection makes sense. And then obviously the glaring need is obvious. And so to me, it makes way too much sense. And I was curious if you've had a chance to look at anything about his play from the last 2 years. I mean, he's been a journeyman for the better part of the last half decade. But 1-year contracts all over the place, right? But
yeah, for sure. I haven't really went into much tape with Linval Joseph. Actually, I haven't at all. But here's what I will say.
He's a pro that understands how to occupy blocks.
100%. He knows what he's doing. If you put him out there, granted, yeah, he might not have that much training camp, but at the same time, with the position he plays and the experience that he has, I'm not too worried about that. This is what I will say. Stephen Jones said that they want to get bigger bodies in the interior of that defensive line.
Yep.
You went out there and you got Jordan Phillips. That's a bigger body. You're starting to, be about your words here. You go get Linval Joseph. I'm telling you, teams are going to have a really hard time running the football on this team. I think that this team is going to defend the run at a very high level this year. I do. I think that, when you look at the edges, I think they're going to be a little more disciplined in keeping containment, funneling work into the second level. I think the second level is way better than what it was last year. And I think now you're going to get better third level support against the run with Marquise Bell because of how much experience he has playing safety. You're going to get better third level support there. I just feel like, and not only that, you have cornerbacks who like to tackle.
Yes.
You have a coach who prioritizes stopping the run. And I feel like if you're able to stop the run, understand this, Micah Parsons, without any type of coaching, like in terms of scheming things up, just, hey, mano y mano, go beat your man across from you. The guy had 14 sacks. Wait till now you're going to be able to look at this defense and say, oh, they can stop the run. So it's not just, hey, let's run the ball. Like, no, you have to find a different way to beat us. And I'm telling you, with a better run defense causing teams to get into more third downs, along with Mike Zimmer scheming things up for Micah Parsons, I really believe this guy has a chance to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Hey, I love everything that you just said, and I'm gonna run this one for you one time with exactly what you just said about we're gonna make you find a different way to beat us. And what you meant by that, I'm gonna just go ahead and assume that you're talking about things that we've tried to hammer home over and over and over and over and over again. The teams, the well-coached playoff caliber opponents later in the year, as the temperature cools off and as things, the more physical, the tough teams, right? Once again, here's another little sidebar. Look at the 4 teams that were in the respective championship games last year, AFC and NFC championship games. What can we unequivocally say about all 4 of those teams?
All of them had good interiors.
The Ravens, the Chiefs, the Niners, and the Lions. Those teams were tougher than everybody they played. Damn sure both of those NFC opponents, the North Stars and the NFC right now, I'll call them that because we've got to prove that we can handle a team like the Niners in the postseason. And the Lions have proven that they can give them a much better fight than we could. So those teams, man, they want it more than you. They're more physical than you. And then you're seeing Linval Joseph right here, man. This is that type of nasty mentality that this team has lacked on their defensive interior.
That's good. Wow.
Yeah. And then, you go ahead and pull up the other clip of Jordan Phillips going directly at Eagles fans, which you of all people could attest to, being a Philadelphia guy or living in that city or right outside of it, that's one of the nastiest, most hostile environments you can possibly play in.
They're annoying.
And he didn't flinch.
I'm not even going to go on a rant about them. They're very annoying. They're very obnoxious.
Here's that clip.
I love it.
Jordan Phillips wants to smoke, yo. Yeah. He said, "I'm here for it."
You love to see it.
And so now we get to see him. Here's another thing too that I haven't really heard people mention. How pissed off do you think he's going to be whenever we trot into the link this year? That dude's going to be ready out to prove something. We're not going to get out physical in that game.
No.
With him alongside Linval Joseph and next to guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Marshawn Nealon. You ain't pushing this team around anymore, man. And that's what I love so much about Mike Zimmer is just all the experience that he's got, man. And just looking back at his teams, we could easily see this from a mile away. He prefers to play with, in a lot of cases, and Okoye touched on this last night, man, 2 one-tech body types on the field at the same time, together. So you put Mozzie Smith out there and teams are having to worry about double teaming Linval Joseph, then all of a sudden Mozzie don't have to handle as many double teams either. And Mozzie, man for man, pound for pound, word to Bruce Feldman coming out of college, is the most, as physically strong, just as strong as anybody. Now he's got to work on the technique to go alongside that, because when you got other grown men or going up against other grown men who are more technically refined than you are, then your strength is neutralized, right? And he's, I don't think enough people saw this tweet either, Chris. I'm gonna run this back and then I'm gonna shut up. But Mozzie and Coach Jeff Zanina, did you see? I know you saw it. The clip of him where Coach Zanina is trying to coach him out of lifting his leg up off the ground. So he's like almost essentially he's playing on one leg.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I'm gonna run downstairs and grab something to drink. I'm like dying of thirst right now.
Go for it, man. Take your time too. Take your time. So I don't know if you guys had seen this, and I'm not sure. I can't remember. I don't have access to the clip, but I mean I can access it. I just don't want to waste your guys' time looking for it. But the point is, you now are going to be in a position, and Chris said it. He said it best. You're going to force teams to figure out a different way to beat you. These quality playoff opponents who are well coached, like the Buffalo Bills of the world from a year ago. Once Joe Brady took over at the offensive coordinator position, man, they were a much different football team. They were more physical. And look no further than just the freaking stat sheet. Josh Allen had 7 completions in that game, and they ran the football 50 times at us for 270 yards. That's inexcusable. And it would have been a lot worse. I feel like they were over 200 yards before it was even halfway through the third quarter. If the Cowboys were even remotely competitive in that game, it could have been 400. So You can't win in the postseason if you can't stop the run. And I've said it over and over again. This Cowboys team was the most one-dimensional playoff football team that I can ever personally recall seeing in my time since I've been mature enough to, I really start to just appreciate team building and start studying and looking into film and things like that, right? This Cowboys team, it don't matter who you got playing quarterback. When you're averaging 3.2 yards per carry in each of the last 3 playoff losses, you can't win football games in the postseason when it matters most. 3.2 yards per carry ain't good enough. That would have been 28th best in the league last year, yards per carry, if allocated over a 17-game stretch. It's not good enough. You can't do it. So anyway, all that to say, Jordan Phillips brings a level of nasty that this team had lacked. Linval Joseph, you saw that clip over there a second ago as well. Chris is back in the house. He's going to bring a level of physicality that this team has lacked. And now Micah Parsons, the best thing about this to me is, and this is we're going to segue into our next topic here. The Micah Parsons as a chess piece thing. This is equally as good on that front as it is anything else as well. Because now Micah gets to go hunt.
And hey, I want to bring something up here.
Please.
When we talk about adding a Jordan Phillips, potentially adding a Linval Joseph, here's the thing, right? We talked about it, the bigger bodies on the interior. I want people to understand this. People wanted a change in this football team's philosophy. They've gotten that. The Cowboys have given them a philosophy change. They're trying to add big bodies on the interior and on the edges with adding guys like Phillips and Marshawn Nealon through the draft, right? They're trying to be more physical at the second level. Mike is going to be playing more linebacker. Eric Kendricks, DeMarvion Overshone, Leafau, like they're trying to be more physical there. And then I would look at the other side of the ball and I would say, hey, I'm not for Zeke being the running back one on this team. One thing I will say is with that interior offensive line, that's going to be a very physical run game that they're going to have. They're going to be able to wear teams out on the ground with how physical they're going to be able to run the football. And to go back to the defense there, because I hopped over the offense there for a second. I want people to understand this. You're not going to have to rely on pass rush talent to the extent that you would have to under Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn wasn't playing coverage on the back end. He wasn't disguising things on the back end and making quarterbacks hold on to the football for an extra second. You can have less talented pass rushers and still have just as a productive of a pass rush, because with Mike Zimmer playing games on the back end, it's not just going to be, hey, we need to have Fowler and Williams and Parsons screaming off the edge. It's no, quarterbacks are going to hold on to the ball for an extra second. You're going to get more coverage sacks and you're going to be getting more schemed up blitzes from guys like Parsons and Overshone. So, I want people to understand that just because this team lost pass rush juice on the edge doesn't mean they won't be just as productive as of a pass rushing unit, because as long as you have Micah Parsons, you're going to be a legitimate pass rush.
Hey, I know y'all just heard my guy Chris at the podium, bro. The pulpit. This man is preaching. Come on, Chris. This is for you, bro. That was so good. You just in rant and just the most Chris from Cowboys Beat rant fashion possible summed up almost everything that I have been banging the table for all offseason and trying to get people to understand and reemphasize. That it's so profound and it's so blatantly obvious that I can't honestly believe that more people don't appreciate everything that you just said right there. Like disguising blitzes or disguising coverages, rolling the coverage, changing the picture for the opposing quarterback pre and post snap. Coverage sacks. Imagine that, right? Imagine just being able to win a game with your defense. Like when you're like if your offense can't put points on the board for whatever reason, can you win a football game 10-3? Last year that answer was no. You couldn't. Because they were so one-dimensional and they were so just so far to one side of the spectrum with the penetrating pass rush philosophy, right? And then part of that philosophy, the philosophical change that you were talking about too, man. That was something that I was hammering home all offseason last year, and it was things like cutting Zeke. That was a sign of positive change to me at the time, right? Because we were all petrified of Zeke leading the backfield again because of the injury and the wear and tear and all that. I thought he was done. It turned, I saw enough of him last year where I think he can act. He's definitely going to be able to contribute, just mostly on short downs and distances and on the goal line. That's why he was brought back, right? Because we lacked that department last year. But I still don't want him leading the backfield in touches week to week.
Oh yeah, no.
So, but cutting Zeke and restructuring Tyron, like asking him to take a pay cut, which he obliged to, allowing Mike McCarthy to fire their golden boy, Kellen Moore, who was essentially, like I said, I mean, it's the golden child. That speaks for itself. They gave him that autonomy, and then they go and double down even more and do something that they hadn't done since 1993, and draft the first round a one technique defensive tackle in the first round, and so those were all like positive signs of philosophical change that you were referencing a second ago, just to kind of give people a little bit more context into what you mean there, and I think it's so good on your part, man, but. And I don't know. So let's talk a little bit about Micah Parsons just real quick.
I wanted to add one more thing to that.
Please do.
Here's the thing when it comes to just team building and building a franchise up. Sometimes it takes some time, and I understand. I get it. I understand that this fan base is impatient. I understand it, but this team, I believe, is building a winning culture. You don't win 12 games 3 years in a row without building a winning culture. And do they have to be better in the playoffs? I tell people this all the time. Absolutely, they have to be better in the playoffs. But at the same time, this team is starting to take. Yeah, exactly. Yep, quarterback included. Absolutely.
No question.
They're starting to take steps in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I understand we give Stephen Jones a lot of crap, and honestly, rightfully so in certain instances. But one thing I will say is when this team wants to trade, these are good trades outside of the Trey Lance one, right? Like I would say,
I still maintain that it was just because I think you got to take a low risk shot in the dark at the most important position of sports. I understood it and I stood by it and I still do, but it didn't work out. But yes.
And see, here's the thing, right? Let's go back all the way to the 2022 season. The Hankins deal, you got a good player for damn near nothing. You go to that offseason, you get Cooks and Gilmore. Don't give up much draft capital to go get those guys. I wasn't a fan of the Lance deal, but you go in this year's draft, you stand 10 toes down, you make sure that a team gives you something of value to move back. And that trade back where I say this, the 24th overall pick was used on your left tackle and your center of the future.
Amen. For at least the next 5 years.
I get that Stephen Jones and Jerry deserve a lot of criticism, but we also have to be fair here. I'm all about being fair. This front office has done some really damn good things. And I think that's going to translate into a successful season for the Cowboys this year. And I get it. They lost some talent. But let me ask you this question. Are they in a better place now than what they were 2 years ago?
No question.
Exactly. And they still won 12 games that year. And that was a year where you lost guys that were playing at a high level in their prime. Like Amari Cooper was playing at a high level in his prime. And I guess you could say Tyron Smith, he definitely played at a high level this past season, no doubt about it. The health was a real thing, though. I will say that.
I wanted him back too. I thought there was no excuse to let him walk for $6 million.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It was up to 20 and incentives, right? An incentive-based deal. But the whole point was, he's making it's a $6.5 million structure. Okay, if he plays 12 games, that doubles. And then every successive game past 12, he gets an extra $1 million, up to $20 million. But the whole point was prior to drafting Tyler Guyton, right? And it worked out. But my premise was, why are we being cheap here? I mean, come on, y'all. Let's $6 million to solidify your quarterback's blind side. the MVP runner-up. And at the time, we were still knee deep in the all-in stuff, right? Trying to figure out what that meant. And so it was just weird business at the time. But now, Tyron gets nicked up in training camp, and it's all the critics of that are they're laughing all the way to the bank, right?
And this is what I'll say. If there was going to be a year to move on from Tyron Smith, it was going to be this year.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was time.
Because not only because of the fact that, he was getting up there in age, but at the same time, right? This draft class was one of the best offensive tackle draft classes we've seen in a very long time. And I respect the Cowboys saying, we believe in our ability to evaluate and draft this position. So because of that, we're going to go land Tyler Guyton in the draft. And one last thing, because somebody's talking about the golden child and Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
I just want to bring this up. So the Cowboys had a top 5-ish defense pretty much every year Kellen Moore was here with Dak Prescott. But then they move on from Kellen Moore, and they still have a top 5 defense, and the quarterback plays at a very high level and maybe the best year of his entire career with CeeDee Lamb, who had the best year of his entire career.
In year one of a brand new offense, a brand new system.
In year one, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
how many quarterbacks do that? Not many, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, after the season, I was just like, I'm done with McCarthy. I'm not getting excited for this football team. But then when you kind of come back to reality and you say, they did some good things this past year that they can build on. The playoff game is absolutely terrible. But you want to know what? This is what I will say. I'm not going to put the last 30 years on Tyler Smith. I'm not going to put the last 30 years on Jake Ferguson. This is a new group of guys. This is not the same team that you had in 2018 or 2014 or 2010 or 2007 or all that. This is a new group of guys. And we might look back at that Green Bay game and say they got punched in the mouth, but that was a stepping stone for something far greater, because sometimes you need to be humiliated, embarrassed in front of everybody to get your act together, to become more humble. And I think that this team is going to move with a purpose this upcoming season. I think they're going to have an edge about them. And I think it's going to translate into the postseason here. Now, look, I got to see them get to the NFC Championship game before I predict them getting there. Do I think they can win a wild card game? I believe that. Do I think they can win a divisional round game? It's yet to be seen. They have to do that for me to really believe in them, that they can get past it. But I want everybody to understand, like, team building, franchise building isn't a one-year thing. They did a complete philosophical change pretty much since that 49ers game. And you keep getting talent, and you keep drafting talent, and you keep developing this talent, and good things are going to happen for this football team. I believe in Dak Prescott. I think he's going to win a Super Bowl for the Cowboys if he's here.
He's definitely talented enough to do it. Now, the problem is it's the ultimate team sport, and that's what people fail to recognize or acknowledge when being critical of him.
Correct. But if somebody were to ask me, do you believe that he will win a Super Bowl for the Cowboys? You want to know what? I'll stand 10 toes and I say I believe that he'll win a Super Bowl for the Cowboys. It's just, look, a quarterback like that, one of these years he'll break through and have a run, and it'll translate into a Super Bowl. I personally believe that. I think he's going to win a Super Bowl for this team. Of course, if the Cowboys, or if Jerry and Steven get their head out of their behind and actually sign this guy.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that next as well, because obviously the contract. Well, I mean, that might be a tired take. You guys in the chat, let us know if you want us to touch on that. I'll let y'all.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
I'm good on that too. We both know what should happen and what's going to happen. I've never once even flinched on that topic. But anyway, your point though, a second ago, you mentioned being embarrassed, and that potentially, like having a positive effect long term over just you carrying a San Francisco-sized chip on your shoulder throughout the entire offseason, right? And so here's one of the things that I think was misinterpreted back when, people said Dak was tone deaf for his remarks during the press conference, the State of the Union, or the State of whatever you want to call it, the State of the Star, where he said, and I agree with him, first and foremost, let's just get that out of the way. Be fans or don't be fans. If you're a fan, you're going to turn the page just like we do. You're going to move forward understanding that you've got better ahead of you. I just talked about being present and being in the now, and that's in your beliefs. That's whoever you're believing in. That's how you see your family, your friends, your favorite team. And, he would essentially just kind of go on to say, well, what he meant, the way that I interpreted that was, look, he couldn't care less about how you feel. He's past that. He's matured well beyond just letting fraudulent takes and polarized press and people just, tapping into the most important player on a $10 billion franchise to generate clicks and views. Okay. He's well past that point. You don't play at an MVP caliber level numerous times over the span of an 8-year career if you're worried about what somebody's saying to you on Twitter or about you on Fake Take, ESPN, or Fox Sports, or whatever. He's so far past that, and I believe him. I take it exactly for what I take it everything at face value when he mentions, look, I'm not playing for the money. Yeah, the money's nice, but I'm playing because I genuinely love this game. I'm playing for my family, just to represent my mother, who's no longer with us, my brother, who is no longer with us, and countless other things. He's a man of faith as well, but man, you don't overcome all the stuff that he's overcome if you're not mentally strong and carry that testicular fortitude. We'll just call it that.
100%.
To be able to handle all these storylines, like most people cannot fathom the arena that Dak Prescott willingly places himself in on a day-to-day basis. They can't. They can't handle one person's. If somebody cuts them off in traffic, it ruined. Your day gets ruined. Or if you can't get your coffee at Starbucks fast enough, you got to throw a fit, right? Or all these other just first world problems that we're just as human beings, man. Microwave society, gotta have it now, gotta have it now, gotta have it now. You talked about being patient earlier, but Dak Prescott's a dude, man. You don't not only play at an MVP caliber level, but earn the daggum Walter Payton Man of the Year award. What does that tell you about the way that his peers think about him? The way that his franchise endorses the character and the leader of men that he is? Talent be damned, but I mean, that's right up there on par with all that.
And so, to be honest with you, let's keep it real about Dak Prescott here. He's an overachiever. I know people want to try and, jab at his playoff record. This guy is an overachiever. Like, this was a 4th-round pick, compensatory pick. And when you saw how Dak Prescott looked coming into the league just as a quarterback as a whole, night and day from what he is now. I didn't expect him to be this shrewd as a pocket quarterback. Like, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time is Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. Dak has all the Drew Brees characteristics. Mm-hmm. If you guys haven't already, I want you guys to read Peyton and Brees. It's a tremendous book about the relationship between Sean Payton and Drew Brees and just how dialed in Drew Brees is. It's the same stuff with Dak. Look, I know it's easy to take him for granted because you're so used to consistent quarterback play from this guy. But I'm telling you, you're not going to get this level of play from anybody. Like, move on. Like, that's what people say. Like, move on from Dak. Okay, like, are we going to call the Buffalo Bills and say, hey, Brandon Beane.
Here you go. Yeah.
You want to
keep going, but I got one for you right here. This is exactly what you're talking about.
You want to give us Josh Allen? Yeah, we want to move on from Dak, but we want to upgrade at the position. Can we get Josh Allen, or how about you call Brent Veach? Hey, can we get Patrick Mahomes? And then you get on the phone with, I would say, a quarterback that I personally believe is better than him. If people want to push back on me, that's fine. Hey, Chargers GM Jim Harbaugh. We want to get rid of Justin Herbert. Well, we want to get rid of Dak, but we want to upgrade at the position. it's the likelihood that you're going to upgrade at the position if you move on from the guy is far less likely than it would be if, having him here, like, it's far more likely that you don't upgrade at the position than you do actually upgrade. And I always go on a tangent about this, but
I did this exercise a couple weeks ago, actually. And I think I actually might have talked about it with you. We touched on this the last time we were live together. I think it was on TikTok at the time still. Since 2014, there have been 29 quarterbacks selected in the first round. 9 of them earned their second contract with the team that drafted them. So what Chris is saying, and that's just round 1. If you go over the entire course and span that out over the rest of the remaining rounds 2 through 7, and even undrafted free agents, the hit rate, man, we're not going to include UDFAs, but go rounds 1 through 7, include all of them. The hit rate is 1%. But even first round drafted quarterbacks since 2014, the Jameis Winston and I think Marcus Mariota year, 30% hit rate. That means all 31 other teams in that time frame combine to whiff on the quarterback that they think is going to be their answer, their Dak Prescott replacement. 70% of the time they fall flat on their face.
And can I put something else forward? This is the same front office, Jerry Jones as the owner, who wanted Johnny Manziel over Zach Martin. Yeah. They wanted Johnny Manziel as the quarterback of this team. So that is true, and that was definitely teased by Jerry Jones, we'll say. But Mike Fisher is, and that's somebody who's not many people, if any, are closer to that family and that organization than he is. But he said that was never even remotely in the question. Stephen Jones, I want to say this is the same instance. And when Stephen, now you know what, that's speculative. I'm not even going to say that, but let's just say Stephen put his foot down hard, and he and Will McClay, because that was the first year of Will McClay's. In his current role as essentially, and
that it wasn't that Will McClay was 2014, wasn't he?
I put his full screen because this what I'm about to say might be short worthy, might be viral short worthy.
I love it.
Get us on the full screen. This idea that the Cowboys should move on from Dak Prescott and go draft Shedeur Sanders is absolutely ridiculous. Shedeur Sanders is not going to be even close to the quarterback that Dak Prescott is. And you talk about a culture problem with the Cowboys that people say that the Cowboys have. If you get Shedeur Sanders, it's going to be 100% worse than what it is right now. This is a guy who is not a leader. You're not telling me that what he's shown at Colorado and Jackson State proves to you that this guy can be a leader of men and be respected in a locker room with very strong personalities. We'll see who's on this team if, that does become the case that Shedeur Sanders ends up being the quarterback here. It will be a colossal disaster. I think that this team is way smarter than that to go ahead and draft Shedeur Sanders and make this kid the quarterback of this team. He's not nearly as talented as Dak Prescott. I don't think the ceiling is high. I think that he's Teddy Bridgewater. That's honestly the way I see him. I think you're going to get a significant downgrade at the position if you decide you want to move on from Dak Prescott for Shedeur Sanders. Anybody who knows the game of football, who actually understands the game of football, would tell you, yeah, that is a massive downgrade. Shout out to Quincy Avery. He talks about it on X. Quincy Avery is a quarterback guru. He talks about it. Do people actually think Shedeur Sanders is going to be better than Dak? That is a laughable debate. It's not based in reality. This guy is not a leader, and this team would be in for a very dark future if the Cowboys went ahead and drafted this kid.
So gonna just go ahead and say it this way. And this isn't to say that I disagree with you. I don't know what he's gonna pan out to be. I honestly don't. I'm not inside his mind. And part of the reason that teams have a 70% whiff rate dating back to 2014 on first round drafted quarterbacks is because you can't measure what's between the ears. Okay. I'm not in that building. I don't know him personally. I honestly have not even studied this topic because I think it is so foolish to not I don't think it's foolish for somebody to believe that he could potentially be a better player. That could be reasonable. But I think it's foolish to operate as if that's your fail-safe.
Yeah.
Because once again, I don't care whether you think he's going to be great. I don't care whether you think he's going to be a bust. None of us know that right now. Nobody does. But here's the question. This is even, in my opinion, more important. If Dak Prescott plays this year, how are you going to get up into the top 3?
Exactly.
How are you going to draft him?
And if Shedeur Sanders is available for you,
games, but minimum, and you're playing in the playoff, you don't got a shot to take the guy, even if you wanted to. Even if you could guarantee me that he was going to be a Hall of Famer, how are you getting him? How are you getting there with Dak Prescott playing football this season? You're not.
One, and my biggest problem with this is if Shedeur Sanders is as good as people tell me he is, he should not be available where the Cowboys are drafting.
Yeah, exactly.
The Cowboys are going to be a mid to late 20s draft spot this upcoming draft. He's not going to, if he's available, that's a red flag. And another thing I want to talk about, because it's starting to come up on ESPN. Deion Sanders is not going to coach the Dallas Cowboys. Get that thought out of your mind. He's not qualified to be an NFL head coach. He isn't even qualified to be an SEC coach. This guy has proven nothing as a head coach.
Yeah. He wants to be a mentor to young men. He wants to lead and develop boys into men. That's his passion. He's been very outspoken about that. So that's another, just a senseless thing as well. But I mean, I'm with you though, for the most part, man. It's just kind of foolish. Now, I wanted to get back to this comment up here. Gary Cook, if you're still in the house, don't go away. He says either Herbert or Mahomes. I'm not sure what he's referencing there. I know we touched on those two guys.
He's not asking for $70 million a year. Well, Dak's not asking for $70 million. I mean, if he could get it, I'm sure he'd take it. But
so let's put the facts out then. If Gary wants to talk facts, we're going to talk facts here. Okay. Dak Prescott's not necessarily asking for $70 million. Okay. We don't know that. We don't know that's speculative right there. Gary Cook talking facts doesn't know that to be a fact. Here's the fact. If he hits free agency in 8 months, 9 months, I guess it would be whenever March of 2025 is, however long away that is, I don't know. He's going to get $70 million because there'll be 18 other teams salivating for a shot at his services. If you want to talk about facts, those are the facts right there. Okay. Now, I don't know. And here's the other thing. Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes already got their contracts. It's not their turn to have a seat at the open market table. Their teams lock them up. Here in 4 or 5 more years, whenever it's time to re-enter the negotiation period, when that number, when Dak Prescott is, outside of the top 13 highest paid quarterbacks again, like he is right now in terms of APY, 5 years down the road, then Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, you can bet your bottom dollar, will be asking for that much money, and they won't even have to ask for it. They're going to get it because the organization that they're with at that time are inevitably going to be getting ahead of it. They're gonna sign them to those extensions before they even have to think about having a holdout situation. They're going to take care of them because they understand that you got to spend a little bit of money to give yourself a chance. And without a quarterback, you don't have a chance. So my thing is quarterback purgatory, man. It's always one dumb decision away. And the Cowboys are right around the corner from that if they were to do the inevitable or the unthinkable. But he's one more going to get his contract. So Gary Cook, I hope you're pleased to hear that.
one more thing before I eventually have to get out of here. You know, when it comes to this Dak Prescott contract, and you just I get a sense that what's being reported on ESPN and Fox Sports and all these other places isn't what's actually going on in the building. I don't think that they feel the sense of urgency that people think that they should have, because they look at this and they feel confident that they're going to get these deals done. Now, I think they should move with more urgency. I don't agree with what they're doing, but I think that they're moving along with these contracts, and I think that they're saying like, hey, we don't need to sign them right now. Like we're the negotiation process is going. It's, it's on the track, and we'll get to it when we get to it. So yeah, we'll see.
So here's the thing though. And once again, it's a little bit of added context. So for people like Gary Cook, it doesn't take a ton of research to go and just figure out the facts. Okay. The thing about these contract extensions, when it comes to players on expiring contracts, okay, it's a two-way street. It takes two to tango. But guess what? These high-profile players that are always the ones that are entering these things because they deserve, demand, they deserve and have earned, and in some cases demand that they get top of the market money. Okay, Dak's already told you he's not thinking about contracts right now, because you know why? Because he knows that what I said a second ago about the facts of him getting $70 million inevitably in March are going to happen. Okay, he is leaving all that money, all that extra nonsense outside of being in between those white lines on the gridiron. He's already said he's not talking contracts. He's not talking money. He's not responsible for anything that happens from this point forward. That's all in the hands of one of the best agents in the National Football League and in sports, Todd France. Okay, these high-profile players have agents that are equally as good, if not better, at their jobs than their players that they represent are. So the Cowboys have no leverage. They can't, even if they said, here, Dak, here's $100 million for the next 5 years. They can't make him put pen to paper. He has a no trade clause that he can waive at any point. Sure. He has a no tag clause, and he has you by the balls.
He does. No, 100%.
So, like Bishop Bullwinkle just said right there, hell no, you don't have any power anymore. This organization, they sneezed that away. They lost the right to dictate how this negotiation process goes. This is up to Dak.
Yeah.
And once again, he said that he wants to be here, and I take that for what I take that at face value. He wants to be a Cowboy when the time comes, okay, which I think is going to be here in the next couple weeks. He's going to get the market money that he deserves, and we're gonna move on. We're all gonna live happily ever after. Okay, some of us, Gary Cook maybe not, but most of us who are honest about the situation, objective, and try to continuously learn, not only from the tape, but from other people who are in this space, who have been Super Bowl winning scouts, like people like Brian Broaddus, guys with a lot more skin in the game than you and I currently have, just because of Father Time hasn't blessed us with the ability to learn enough of what there is to know right now. But, we're getting better every single day in that same regard. So, yeah, I've said enough. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was about to say, I got to get out of here.
Good deal, man.
I got to get to bed here. But yeah, I mean, closing thoughts. I mean, it's always good working with you, bro. And, yeah, I mean, just be patient, guys. I understand it's been a long off season. Things are going to get moving here. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a successful season for this football team.
Me too, man. One of the things that we didn't even get to touch on, I'm just going to leave you with this real quick. It's not difficult, man. This is what I've been asking everyone and trying to tell everyone. It ain't difficult for us to be better running the football in 2024 And it's not difficult for us to be better stopping the other team from running the football down our throats in 2024. That's
Yeah.
all that's all that I would like fans to consider before they mail in their fandom and
And they make a letter and they make a transfer letter to another fan
transfer
base
portal.
like that one guy from the Chargers did.
Taking their fandom talents elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
what
crazy.
and now
Funny
that
business.
guy all he does is talk shit on the Cowboys, which is hilarious because I'm like, dude, you were a fan and you're literally a traitor.
Well, man, thanks again so much for joining me, dude. I appreciate it. You know, I hold you in very high regard. I love the work that you're doing. If you guys haven't checked out Chris on Instagram, that's where that's some of the best work that I've seen on there, man. I love it's so clean, so professional. The way that you're presenting all of your points, everything's laid out. You just go click on Cowboys Beats Instagram profile. It just looks like a guy that knows exactly what he's doing. You've got a plan, man, and you're still working a full-time job as well on top of this. So you're grinding your butt off, which is why you got to get out of here and get to bed. But thank you so much again for the work that you do. Seriously, for the work that you do, and for just fighting the good fight, as I like to say, just constantly and being honest and objective about the reality of not only this team, but just the entire landscape of the National Football League, dude. I appreciate your perspective, and I very much so respect your work. So thanks again, man. Have a good one, and we'll talk again soon. Okay, we'll do it again soon.
Two things I want to leave people with.
Okay.
One, I'm going to give you your flowers because you do great work as well, bro. Sports Under the Surface. It's one of the more unique pages you're going to come across. He has his own lane, and there we go. There we go. He has a lane, and he masters that lane as well as anybody else in the space. And this is the thing I will leave the fans with. Delusion is not exclusive to positivity. You can be negative and be delusional. You can be negative and be delusional. Trust me, I see it all the time on X about this team. So I want people to understand just because you're positive does not mean you're delusional. And just because you're negative doesn't mean you're realistic. That's what I end with tonight.
You heard it here first, man. Chris, thanks so much again, dude. We'll do this again soon. And don't forget, before he gets out of here, I'll just go ahead and remind y'all in case I forget later. Hit the like button for a couple guys that are doing what we feel like we're called to do, chasing that dream and trying to bring the fans like yourselves the honest truth about the Cowboys and otherwise that you definitely deserve. So leave a thumbs up for Chris and as well for myself, and we'll talk to you guys together soon. I'll be here for a few more minutes once he gets out of here, but I would love to for you guys just to go check out his IG and support him in any way that you can, because once again, I wouldn't have him on my platform if I didn't respect the work that he does. So Daniel says Lando is one of the most non-delusional podcasters on our Dallas Cowboys. I appreciate that, man. It is, I wouldn't say a constant struggle, but it's just something that I do have to try to remind myself of. Like, no matter what happens, I try to the very best that I can to really just take a deep, like today when all the news was breaking, I sat down for a second. I was like, okay, but just let me try to be honest about what this exactly means. And so I'm diligent and I'm thorough with my analysis behind the scenes before I say something. But usually, if you see me tweeting something, if you see me, especially if I'm posting a video, like a project, like producing a full-on short form or even something like along these lines, but especially if it's a project or a video in project form, you better believe that I take a tremendous amount of pride in every single last word and detail that's involved in whatever it is that I'm posting or saying at the time. And it means that I feel confident enough in the work and the diligence and just all the work that I've done behind the scenes before I try to bring those thoughts to life. Once again, on behalf of you guys, because y'all deserve it. I've been blessed with the platform and the ability to pursue this. And so I'm applying the same level of persistence that I applied to my professional playing career with baseball. And I've just taken that to a completely different profession now, an entirely new avenue for me. But it's been fun everything you guys see is all self-taught. And I'm just taking baby steps each day, trying to improve. Like today, the upgrade to the show was that I figured out how to add my intro to StreamYard so that you guys could see an intro when I go live. I always had it whenever I was, just doing a pre-recorded project and posting that. So I'd always have the intro there when I could edit it behind the scenes. But so that's just one example of the many. But yeah. So anyways, it's just a constant effort, and I appreciate those words, Daniel. Thank you, brother. In your head, you want to be, but you know the limits of our beloved football team. Oh, that's funny. Now, so I really do, though. I firmly believe, like I said, this team was so inept stopping the run a year ago that the bar is very low for them to improve upon that and that department of their football team, that avenue. So, and the same is true on the offensive side of the ball, man. But running the football and being able to stop the run, like that's the thing is the Cowboys. If Dak had a slow start in any game, especially against well-coached playoff caliber teams, we didn't have a chance to win because our defense, if they were playing from behind, they didn't possess the ability to stop the other team from just moving the chains on the ground and eating up clock. So Mike Zimmer has come in and he's changed the entire, like this defense that y'all are about to see. It's markedly, I mean, it couldn't be more polar opposite from what we got so used to with Dan Quinn. It's a lot more, oh, there's a good question. I like that. Yeah. J&A Brenner says Duke's going to get some more run this game. I think so. He was healthy. He was on the field in the scrimmage yesterday. So I would imagine so. We'll have to see about how they feel about his health, but everything seems like it's pointing in that direction. And I can't wait to see that too. But Mike Zimmer's touch on this defense, we're already kind of seeing that come to life, right? He wanted to get bigger. He wanted to get more physical, and he definitely did that. Marshawn Nealon was selected in the 3rd round. Everybody that knew a little bit about him going into the pre-draft process knew that no doubt about it, he was a ready-made run stopper at the edge position, which is that was a gaping hole on this roster. Teams would elect to, because Micah Parsons was entrenched to one side of the edge almost 100% of the time, seemingly. It wasn't 100%, but it was a lot. It was too much. Teams would prefer, and they would elect to, and they did. They chose to run directly at Micah Parsons every single time. If they have their way, if they have their choice, they're avoiding D-Law's side. They'll just go attack Micah. They'll chip him. They'll throw bodies at him all day. Not the case anymore now that you've got Marshawn Nealon on the opposite side of the formation, because he brings that same level of edge setting, that strength in the run game, that ability just to hold the point of attack. Micah isn't built that way. Yes, he's the best athlete on the field at all times. He's one of the best defenders in the league because of his versatility, but part of what makes him the best defender in the league, and this is what I wanted to run through with Chris. We didn't have enough time to get there. But he's an elite pass rusher. And he's an elite pursuer of the football from the middle of the field or from the second level, or anywhere but just being stuck on one side of the formation at edge. Right? And so his best success in the sack department, even last year, he had more of his sacks and pressures come through A gap and B gap than they do from off of the edge, coming around and bending it. So we need to use him as the chess piece that he is. That was one of the things that I wanted to see, and we just never saw it. We didn't see Dan Quinn get creative, and now part of that is because, it didn't matter. You were so outmatched and outmanned that you didn't really have the choice. I mean, guys, we had a 205-pound converted safety playing dime backer. So, Dan Quinn was handicapped in a lot of ways, but still, there's just some things that are completely inexcusable about the way that they went about their entire team building and their philosophy, especially in the postseason. It just doesn't work, And so to see Mike Zimmer come in and reinforce that, have so much, like we feel like we have so much depth now at the linebacker position. Still got to see what the status is. If anybody has an update on DeMarvin Overshown, please let me know. He had a hip pointer thing that popped up. He had to leave practice the other day, and I know Damone Clark had some issue that popped up too. I need to tap in with probably No C. I'm sure he's got some updates posted on .com. But yeah, if anybody in the chat right now knows, please feel free to let us know. But man, it's exciting to know what's coming, right? And so essentially, in a nutshell, the biggest difference that I think is a pretty easy way for me to try to get people to understand, and Mike Zimmer's defense compared to Dan Quinn's is Dan Quinn, just think mostly man coverage, like guys in your face, bump and run coverage, right? Single high safety, which is a lot of responsibility and requires a lot of range and a lot of IQ for that deep man. And then everybody else essentially penetrate and get up the field. We're not going to really worry so much about gap integrity. We're not going to worry about playing team run defense where everybody has their job, and sometimes you got to sacrifice your natural instinct to just go try to chase the quarterback down or make a play in the backfield to just play sound defensive football. And on top of that, and this may be even the most damning thing of all of that is not being stuck and just tipping your hand as to what coverage that you're going to be in before the ball is snapped. It doesn't work, man. And teams had it figured out. Once again, well-coached teams, playoff caliber opponents, they had their will with you. What did Jordan Love say? Y'all heard the interview? It's like, and this is, I'm paraphrasing, but in a nutshell, he said, yeah, we pretty much knew exactly what they were going to do. You don't say, right? Imagine that. So now Mike Zimmer enters the picture. Okay, so it's much less of all those things that I just laid out. Single high safety, man coverage, and hyper-aggressive penetrating. Everybody just up the field as fast as you can. Controlled chaos. Or maybe just not even controlled chaos. Maybe just chaos. A lot of heavy stunts. Just constant twists and stunts, but no changing the picture post-snap and making the quarterback at least just have to, that extra millisecond of him having to say, oh, wait, that safety was walked down in the box, but now he's sprinting back across this way at a 45-degree angle, and he's taken away, he's all of a sudden, he's got like quarters responsibility to the other side. Or, somebody on the edge, like Micah Parsons or say anybody, I don't know, whoever is on the line of scrimmage pre-snap. All of a sudden he drops back and he's in underneath shell coverage, like just kind of waiting, watching the quarterback's eyes. Like that could be something you play that we got the Ravens coming to town in week 4. Just have a bunch of like muddle rushing, essentially. I think if I'm saying that right, or if I'm not, somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's where essentially you're not penetrating at all. You're doing the exact opposite, doing everything that you can to sort of contain Lamar Jackson and keep him in the pocket, right? Because if Micah Parsons shoots upfield, all he has to do is just take one step this way, and there's a clear lane with nothing but daylight. And that we've seen that happen. That came to fruition a few times, and just because Micah Parsons, he has to mature with just understanding gap integrity, right? But people think that just put him, asking him to play more across the formation means that he has to just be all of a sudden entrenched at linebacker now, which is just dumb. It's people are just being so dense about it. They think that, they hear it's just the outdated conventional wisdom of the edge position being the most valuable position on the football field, which I'm not saying that it isn't, but when you take a guy with Micah Parsons' skill set, why would you just alert everybody? Any of your upcoming opponents, every offensive coordinator knows walking into that stadium where Micah Parsons is going to be on the field every snap. Why would you limit him in that regard? Right? And so he's already said, and I'm going to see if I can pull this quote up too. he's learning so much. Like he's actually learning the responsibilities of defense. Like he's learning so many different nuances that he didn't even know were a thing for Mike Zimmer. He's getting coached up on the little things, right? Let me see if I can pull that up. I'll get y'all some background music here for just a second. I'm gonna take a breath, take a drink of water, use the restroom, and then I'll be right back after I get this pulled up. But Micah Parsons. Well, I'll have to dig a little bit deeper for it. I'm not going to be able to find it right now. I'll be right back, guys. Give me 15 seconds. Back. Hey, look at that. You guys are some real ones, man. Not a single one of you left the chat. Shout out to y'all. Let me get you one of these. Yeah. Okay. What are some other what questions, what topics that have we not covered? What are some of the things that you guys want me to answer or talk about? Y'all let me know. I feel like I've kind of just we've kind of been flying by the seat of our pants today, but that's okay. Just lots of thoughts that I wanted to convey in the best way that I can. What questions y'all got for me, man? Let's do this. Let's get TikTok up in here. Funnel some of their questions into here, and we'll have ourselves a good old time. Live. Nope, not reacting to the Rams anymore. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I really need to be going to bed here pretty soon myself, but I'm here for the people. I can sleep when I'm dead. Wait, I guess TikTok needs to hear me. They need to hear the serenading sound of my beautiful voice. Mic check, TikTok. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Are we all good? They don't, let's see as they start to funnel in here. There we go, we got a couple. Welcome in. See, TikTok, the TikTok side of things, they don't know what they just missed out on. You guys just got an hour and 19 minutes worth of pure, objective Cowboys truth in the best way that I know how to present it. So if you're over there on the TikTok side, and not to mention that, like they're late to the party. It's nothing against them, but it's much better over there on this side of the things. The water is fine over here. Yeah. Can I get an amen? So TikTok, we're bringing you guys in here. The YouTube chat needs a little bit of help coming up with some questions. Let's see. There's a couple more here. Will the Cowboys address the running back spot? That's a good one. Sorry, Daryl. See, I spoke too soon. You guys start to spit them off as I get the TikTok people in here. Cowboys lifestyle. Shout out to you, man. Thanks for being here. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Yeah, so I'm gonna spare the TikTok side, or I guess the YouTube side of things, the Carl Lawson discussion. We kind of touched on it. We didn't go terribly in depth, but we talked about why it was important, because I'll answer your question for you because I love you that much. You're welcome. Uh, but I'll try to just be as brief as I possibly can. Okay. Carl Lawson, to me, man, he's a nuanced pass rusher. He can win in a variety of ways as a rusher. Okay. But to me, it's a depth piece. It's a depth piece now because you lose Dante Fowler, you lose Dorrance Armstrong. You feel good about replacing some of that production after the draft, but then guess what? The guy that you were kind of counting on to step up on their behalf, Sam Williams, he goes down. So then you're hurting for some help there more so than you were. Here's the thing though that I pulled this up for the YouTube side too. I talked about the Carl Lawson thing. It was the same exact situation that I've been hammering home. And for those of you who are late to the party over here, the Carl Lawson and Jordan Phillips, they definitely help. They definitely matter. They're definitely significant for the state of where this organization is at because of just the massive sinkhole. We'll call it the 340-pound sinkhole that you had in the middle of your defense. I've said it's arguably depending on you could definitely make the case for some other position, but the weakest position room on any position, any team in the entire National Football League. So the whole the Jordan Phillips thing for me was I wasn't necessarily overjoyed with the player, which I do think he does contribute physically. He absolutely helps his team. Okay, but it was more so I was just hand clapping for, hey, congrats to us. Now the Cowboys can actually, for the first time, say that they have the adequate depth necessary to go in and play real life NFL football. You can actually field an 11, a starting 11, somebody that's shown and proven that they can play one tech. And the thing about Jordan Phillips is, I had him a little bit mistaken early on. I'll read these numbers again for you guys. It should be at the top of the chat here over on YouTube. But Jordan Phillips, he's not just a one technique. He's 6'6", 340 pounds, but 712 people in here, man. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome in. Wow, this is that's a God thing right there if I've ever seen it. So that's amazing that you guys are in here. Tell a friend to tell a friend, man, where to find me. The most objective Cowboys coverage on TikTok, on this app. Okay. Sports Below the Surface. That's who I am. That's what I do. That's what the Lando Show is. That's what it's about. And bringing fans like you guys the truth that you deserve to hear. Because, getting away from the fake take polarization that you're just constantly being force fed all the time on TV, mainstream media, just using the $10 billion franchise as leverage for their own clicks and views, right? They're not interested in conveying the truth. So that's why I'm here. That's where that's what I'm passionate about. And so just in any sport really, but in particular this team, man. So about, I guess, 115 people in here now. Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate that. Everybody just do me a favor. The best way to support me and this channel and the continued growth of it is just to like this video, share this video, I guess, on your side and tell somebody who I am and where to find me. A couple other questions let's get to though. This hat, yeah, this is True Brand. Still waiting on that partnership. Whenever they're ready, I'm ready. Been kind of picky, kind of selective with it. I've had a few people like reach out, but I'm waiting for the right one. Companies and products that I believe in. That way the endorsement is natural and it comes across organic. How about them Cowboys from Sacramento? Sacramento in the house. What's up? Is that I'm not sure if I say it the first name right. Isaiah and Lydia. Appreciate y'all being here. Yeah, so here's another thing too. If you missed it, the whole point, and you can catch the whole recap. This is live right now on YouTube, but it'll be posted. You'll see it. Just type in Cowboys or the Lando Show, and then Jordan Phillips and Carl Lawson. and you'll see it. You'll see the live pop up. So John Grunwald says, I love your content, bro. Thank you. Thank you. I do the best I can. I'm constantly trying to improve, and you guys are helping me do that, man. Y'all afforded me the ability to upgrade not my entire studio, but some significant pieces that contribute to this production. And so I'm just I'm learning on the fly, getting more comfortable with it every day, and I'm having a lot of fun in the process. So thank y'all once again. Let's go. Yeah. So anybody in the chat right now that wants to come and say what's up and introduce yourself, I will be at the Star in Frisco once they get back from Oxnard. So I'll be hanging out, watching practice, seeing what's going on, and trying to once again I'll be up close and personal, bringing everything that you guys need to know straight to your handy dandy device in your pocket. So once again, thank y'all for being here. Content is A1 from Gerald Soto and Straight Facts. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. It's not difficult for the Cowboys to be better this year than they were a year ago, running the football and stopping the run. That's been the message all off season long. Not difficult at all. What do you think of the Cowboys cap space? So I'll just tell you what I think about cap space in general. Okay. It's always real in the future. Okay. Eventually you got to account for that can that you're kicking down the road. Right. But it's fake today. You can always make the money work. Okay. It is much more so a salary, or I'm sorry, it is much more so a accounting principle than it is any sort of hard restriction on team building. I'll go ahead and I don't think you guys, I don't know if you heard that, but this is let me just say that one more time. It's much more, don't let the Joneses fool you, okay? It is much more an accounting principle, the salary cap that is. I've got a whole video on this on YouTube. Type in the Lando Show salary cap fake. You'll see it. It is much more an accounting principle than it is any sort of hard cap on team building. Joker laugh for those of you who can't hear it on the TikTok side. I'm gonna figure out how to streamline that to where you guys can hear the soundboard too. Because there's times when I need to place emphasis on things to make sure y'all are paying attention. Because there's answers to the test in here. I want to catch y'all sleeping. You know what separates you and the other guys from Cowboys Corner? What's that? Let's see. You actually wear Cowboys gear and not a logo of your product. Respect. Oh, hey, so I got to be honest with you. I'm a man. I'm an honest man here. I will say, I do actually have the logo on the back of the t-shirt right now, but this is one of the, so my golf business on the side, Hosel and Hack LLC, the most relatable golf on YouTube, relatably average, I should say. We partnered with this golf clothing manufacturer that I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with, if you've at least heard of or seen me wearing it lately. Waggle Golf, get your waggleon.com. What's up, Noah? Or Nova, T-Bone in the house. So I've been wearing their stuff. Either way, though, your point is well taken, and I appreciate the comment and the feedback there. Cowboys Corner, thank you, brother. But yeah, so I'm not really worried about the salary cap. To me is always more so irrelevant. If there's a player that you want that you think can help you, there's always a way to make the money work. You can restructure. You can extend and create money in the interim, which is that's another discussion too. It's kind of pertinent to the here and the now. The Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb deals will create salary cap for the Cowboys, not inhibit it. So they'll actually have more cap space once that money is agreed upon. Are you new on here? Never seen you before till today, Monte. So okay, let's do a little bit of a quick recap and background on why I'm here. So Monte. Or Monty, apologize if I'm not sure of the correct enunciation, but I started off about 3 or 4 years ago. I created this YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel itself is about 4 years old. I have only since taken it seriously. So I had to take a step back from YouTube, from the long form stuff, once my first daughter was born 2 years ago in 2022. But even before that, when I was just kind of getting started, on the YouTube side of things, I was still playing baseball. So baseball consumed every ounce of my day to day and all of my energy and all of my focus. So I just didn't have the care to sort of learn all the necessary nuances to building or to being able to do this for a living, you know. So I kind of kicked it to the curb. It took a back seat for a little bit after I created the channel. I had no idea what I was doing. And this, got to think, 4 years ago, there weren't a lot of people that were doing that, or I guess it was 5 years ago. 2019 is like right before COVID happened. But not everybody was trying to podcast and create content and digital marketing and, you know, just the wave of what you can do with your cell phone these days. It wasn't at the same height that it is now. And so I didn't really appreciate the power of it back then. And so I just didn't take it seriously, to be totally honest with you. About 2022, once my first daughter was born, I was starting to try to take it seriously because I had seen some growth begin to happen on Twitter and on TikTok a little bit. And so I had to just step away from the long form YouTube stuff and just kind of focus on doing more quick hitting, like 60-second reels and just kind of producing reels. So I just kind of mastered a new skill because it was more fun for me at the time. It was easier for me to learn what to do and how to kind of do it. I don't know why, but that's just kind of what happened. And so over time, my second daughter was brought into the picture, and I've taken this seriously now for really just this past calendar year is when I really went all in and said, okay. So I prayed about like the direction that God was taking me because I kind of felt overwhelmed. I was like, I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do, where I want to go post playing, because all I had ever thought about was baseball until I was 27 years old. I'll be 30 here at the end of this month. But anyway, long story short, man, I'm not new to the sports media scene, but I'm relatively new to taking YouTube seriously. We'll see, I got 30,000 over on TikTok right now, 13,000 on Twitter, I think, just over 3,000 on here, and about 5,000 on Instagram. So, but I've only recently in the past few months really started to understand how to structure things and kind of build things off of each other and let have everything just kind of line up. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there, to answer your question, man. Is Cooper Beebe doing good? Yes, he's running with the ones as of this week, which is a great sign because let's go ahead and get a couple clips here pulled up. Cooper Beebe. Somebody had him every snap from the first preseason game against the Rams, all kind of brought into one place, so it was easy to see, easy to process. I forget who did the work, but I'll give him the credit here once I find it. Go ahead and get y'all some background music while we wait. While we wait, we hydrate. Cooper Beebe. This should pop up that way. Here we go. So Dustin Mosher. Every snap at center from the Cowboys' third-round pick, Cooper Beebe against the Rams. Here we go. See, and that's one of the things too. Over on the TikTok side, if you guys want to see what's going on, you want to hear all the more aesthetically pleasing sound effects that make this production even better, please feel free to check me out over on the YouTube side. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs. You guys can help me do that, man. If you're not already subscribed, please tell a friend to tell a friend. Let me go and make sure y'all can see this here. Okay. What else we got? You were a catcher ratio? Okay. Doing all the dirty work. A lot of respect for those dudes, man. I definitely wasn't built for it. Marcus Willie, what's up with Deuce? So he was banged up. He had a little soft tissue tweak, and he's back on the field as of yesterday. And he participated in the scrimmage and looked pretty good from what I've heard. And it didn't obviously overwhelm anybody, but that's a guy. Once again, he's different. He's different than anybody else in that running back room currently as far as what his skill set brings to the table, the short area quickness, the lateral agility, those types of things, the ability to stop and start, the acceleration. He doesn't have home run long speed, but he has home run short area quickness that will allow for some of those explosive plays to come to come to fruition. Thoughts on Lance's start? Okay, so I did an entire breakdown on that. I would strongly encourage you to watch that one. Maybe I can, you know what? That's the beauty of Twitter, y'all. Hold up, I got you, fam. Famo. Let me see. This is why I do the work, so I can just pull up examples directly from my own self and let let you guys listen and enjoy. And it gives me time to take a breath and stop talking so much. Me talking so much is like Thanos. I'm inevitable. I think I said context. The problem is figuring out the keywords that I that I used in the like in the title of the tweet, so I can get back and access it quicker. You know, just search it straight up. Half the time I forget what I used to describe the project that I was posting. Let's see. Please work. Please work. You know what? I'm just going to go scroll because I want y'all to see it. And I'm a man of my word. I'm just going to scroll down my timeline the old-fashioned way, or my profile. It was just 2 days ago. Can't be that far. Here we go. Bingo. Look at that. And a question that I would have for Mike McCarthy.
This type of throw is how you get fired.
Maybe one of the members of Cowboys media. Some context on Trey Lance. And I'm going to give y'all 10 seconds. I'm going to pause, or actually 20 seconds, okay? When this Bishop Bullwinkle song ends right here that I'm about to play for the YouTube side, 10 seconds, it's going to be about 20 seconds. Come over to the YouTube side so you can watch along with us and contribute. Here we go. Bishop. Alrighty. Should be enough time. I hope you guys were able to make it in here. If you're one of those from the TikTok side, drop a comment for me. Let me know who you are so I can see who the real ones are. Talk to me. Talk crazy to me. All right, here we go. Without further ado. Some context on this is the quarterback school. JT O'Sullivan. He has numerous years in the league as a backup quarterback, but really smart. Knows his stuff, man. All the X's and O's. He's below the surface, just the way I like it. Here we go. Trey Lance. And a question that I would have for Mike McCarthy.
This type of throw is how you get fired.
Maybe one of the members of Cowboys media, beat writer or so, somebody with a lot more access than I have to the star in Frisco, can ask him this question for me. We'll get to that at the end. Let's just see what JT O'Sullivan has to say about Trey.
Trey Lance has more moving parts in his throw than anybody else in the league that I can think of. You want your hips and your shoulders to kind of stay right where they are and just rotate. Looks like it's down, up, down, up. I mean, even as he goes to throw this thing, you can see his hips and shoulders move up. Use this white line right here. Watch it go up. There's not this much wasted movement. See how up it is?
For those of you who don't know, I'm a baseball guy first, and so TikTok, say what's up to YouTube. YouTube, say what's up to TikTok. Yeah! Let me get it. Yeah. Word to Lil John. Okay, back to business. Sorry about that, y'all. Squirrel brain. Here we go. 1, 2, and action. So this is something that's prevalent all across the sporting landscape, okay? But as a pitcher myself, this is one of the first things that any good professional pitching coach would talk to you about is, or at the college level, same way, okay? You come set, right, from the stretch or otherwise, but usually it happens in the stretch. Guys will kind of, get preset, and then as they enter into leg lift, they'll kind of pick their head up. Now, that's just not what you want. You want that head to be still. Any pitcher that struggles with commanding the baseball into the strike zone, 9 times out of 10, man, you watch their head and you'll see just tons of wasted movement and just unrepeatable mechanics. Eliminate contingencies, minimize movement, especially with your head. You don't want to be bouncing all over the place as you enter peak leg lift. And you're trying to pick up your target, your head's doing this, your eye level is constantly moving and bouncing around. Your target is changing, and so it's just, you're making the position more difficult. Building bunts, PFPs. As you field that bunt or that ground ball, you stay in your legs. You do not stand straight up. Hitters are the same way. You see them get into their load, hard enough to hit a baseball as it is. Okay, it's the single most difficult thing in all sports. But if your head's doing this, then you can't track the baseball as it's entering the zone.
Gun play action, beautiful pass protection, got all the time in the world, and this is just a weird decision. It's bizarre.
Trey throws the corner route even though the cornerback is outside leverage to the near boundary.
He's running away from people right here. No, get vertical. Nice job, get down, protect yourself. That's pretty sweet. That part is outstanding. You know, I think the part that makes you kind of look sideways at this thing is if you start with this, you'd probably be here too. Because it's, see how it would be in your vision back here as you look to the inside fade? No, yes. And if that's the case, I would say the ball has to go here. It has to be thrown here. Look at 47.
Okay, this is important.
He hasn't even hitched yet. Hitch? So he's already to the backside before he takes a hitch or a reset.
So, okay, TikTok, I need my hands. So y'all are coming back up here. If you want to see everything that you just saw, please do me a solid and check me out on the YouTube side of things and hit that subscribe button for me. I appreciate that in advance. Thank you. So what he's saying is that Trey Lance, and I want to be fair to Trey real quick. Let me preface this. This is just as important to y'all. This dude, before this past Sunday, hadn't played a meaningful snap of NFL football since September of 2022. Just imagine how uncomfortable he must have felt there. There is a rhythmic thing that, you know, I should not have to explain that to y'all, why that's difficult. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, that prefaced, okay, there's still way too many moving parts in the mechanics of his throw that will prevent him from being capable of being a quality NFL quarterback from the pocket. All right. He's going to be erratic until he cleans this up. Not to say that he can't or that he won't, but it's just there's some low-hanging fruit here, kind of like Jeff Sanina coaching Mozzie Smith, leaning up on, like, getting off of one leg, just deleting his own anchor, and just, I don't know, it's where you pick up that habit from, but he's trying to take on and just sustain a double team block on one leg. You can't do that. Okay, same thing. You can't be an accurate thrower of the football if your eye level is changing throughout your throw as you're, trying to get to your release point, and you can't be consistent with the throw. Like you can have the same arm layback and everything with your arm. Everything can be fluid, but from your knees all the way up to your neck. Everything can be the same every single time. But if your head is constantly bouncing as you're trying to throw, your eye level's changing. You can't possibly repeat the same level of command over and over and over again because your head is just at a different level each time you're letting the football go. So that's changing everything. You've got to stay into your legs and just literally allow the hip to shoulder separation to rotate around yourself. So, so the thing is, what JT was telling you there, why I paused this video, was because Trey Lance just hasn't played enough football yet in his NFL career, and even back to college. He had one full season of accrued college quarterback play. Dude just hadn't played the game, man. He hadn't played the game long enough. And it's unfortunate that he's going to run out of time in Dallas. And we're going to talk about a potential trade destination for him as well here, and something that would make a lot of sense to me. But JT is showing you he's coming off his first read before the receiver, he's open, but even before he gets to his drop to have a chance to it's because everything with the West Coast offense, right? It's married to the quarterback's feet. It's all harmonious. It's in sync. The quarterback's feet tell you where to throw the ball and when. So it's all a rhythm and timing thing, but he's coming off that first read and getting to his backside and turning his head before he even gets to the top of his drop. And so he's progressing through the play. He's playing, his brain is just going way too fast because there's just so much to think about. It's not second nature to him yet because he hasn't done it enough. So I hope that answers.
It has to go here. It has to be thrown here. Look at 47. He hasn't even hitched yet. Hitch? So he's already to the backside before he takes a hitch or a reset. 1, 2. Look at his helmet turn. That's just not playing the play at the correct speed. This type of throw is how you get fired. And I don't enjoy saying that. It's just me getting fired many times.
It's honest.
Getting cut. This is wide ass open in the NFL. Inside leverage, run away, We got all this space. This is too easy. Oh my God.
That's wide open in the NFL, y'all. He has 3
The
steps.
ball's behind us. This is just late.
And there's
So
20 yards
3
of
and a
room to
hitch
work.
to a flat
And he throws the ball 5 yards out of
is
bounds. He
late.
just
Arm
hasn't
strength is
played
impressive,
position
but the
enough.
ball location is behind us. It's open. 1, 2, 3, throw.
Last 2 plays, those are layups. Those are easy walk-in touchdowns. AT mentioned it too, but this is something that I've been talking about dating back to last season. The easy buttons of your offense. Here's my question for Mike. Condensed formations, bunch sets. Yeah, that is a bunch set, but the formation isn't condensed. Give the quarterback and your receiver more room to work in that area of the field. The question for Mike would be, what is the reasoning for like when you know you're throwing that route concept there, that flat, and it's like a glorified rub. That's kind of what you get built into the bunch formations, right? You're making things difficult for the opposing team to sort of communicate and navigate through traffic. Okay. He doesn't have as much room to work as he should. So like even if he throws the ball as late as he did there, if that formation is condensed prior to the ball being snapped, it's still a touchdown because there's more room. They don't run out of room. So that's all I want to know. And I know it's a preseason game, so maybe it's just literally that simple. It's reps with him, man. This dude has not played football, relatively speaking, but the clock's ticking for him. I'm rooting for Trey Lance, man. I really am, but I just feel like he's running out of time. If y'all should, man, I'm not gonna sit here and bore you with old tweets, but I've always believed in his skill set even before he was a Dallas Cowboy. I was like, this dude, the arm strength and the athleticism on the ground gives Kyle Shanahan's offense 2 cheat codes that he's never had. So I was really rooting for him to figure it out because I wanted to see what that would look like. My direct words were, actually, you know what? I think I can pull it up. I think I remember exactly what I said. Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance together might break the NFL. Maybe not. Thought that was what it was. Maybe not. There's a video of me talking about Christian McCaffrey. Anyway, neither here nor there. What other questions we got, man? Let me get off of this page for y'all. Talk to me. Oh, by the way, just to kind of expand upon my thoughts, it would make too much sense now that J.J. McCarthy is out for the year. If Minnesota really does think that they're capable of competing for everything this year, if Kevin O'Connell can work and win a couple games with Josh Dobbs, then he can work with and win a couple games with Trey Lance. So the problem is in this upcoming draft, the Vikings have, I think, 2 first-round picks, and then they have 1 7th-round pick. So they don't have a lot of mid-round options. Actually, they don't have any mid-round options. They have 1 late option, but maybe you get them to flip you a future 5 and just call it good, like in 2026 or something along those lines. I don't know. But yeah, what's your biggest worry right now going into the season? The biggest worry, I would say, not being able to stop the run, but they're at least trying to address that now. They're showing some effort there, so kudos. Yeah, Cooper Rush is quarterback 2 on this roster right now. Like if Dak Prescott, for whatever reason, wasn't physically healthy or able or willing to play football, like let's just say tomorrow was game number 1, Cooper Rush starts for the Cowboys over Trey Lance. 10 times out of 10. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get that music down. Any big splash moves you think we make? Well, if you count Linval Joseph as a splash move, then yeah. Linval Joseph is coming, y'all. That's inevitable. I've been operating for the last 2 months as if he was already on this roster. You worry about wide receiver? Nope. You know why? I'll show you why. I will show you why. Because of this. This man right here. I don't know what website I just clicked on. That is probably not good. Mark, I don't know what I just clicked on. Oh, boy. Oh, shout out to Matthew McConaughey. Anyway, you guys get the point. What's your take on Jalen Tolbert? Well, I told everybody on Instagram today, my post, to ask Siri what Dak Prescott said about Jalen Tolbert this offseason. Look at me, man, just doing all this extra work for y'all to make things more presentable. Here we go. Look at this. I love when I find something like on the first search, first click. So awesome. Make sure y'all can see this. I got to get a mouse so that I can navigate through my screens faster. So y'all don't have to be waiting. Where's the full quote? Well, it was right here. Dak Prescott has some high praise for rising Dallas Cowboys wide receiver who has been putting on a show early in training camp. Prescott was speaking on the team's young receiving core when he showered third-year pass catcher Jalen Tolbert with praise. He discussed the trust that he has built with Tolbert. So they were working together, just so for anyone who is unaware of this, they were working together all offseason, like every day. And that's another guy that's wired the right way and why you should be rooting for and counting on to actually step up and make plays. I know he got off to a terrible start, right? Not the least of which, in terms of examples, with the offsides, he lines up 3 yards offsides in the Packers game 2 years ago. But Dak goes on to say, there's no telling how great he can be. He elaborated. Oh, here we go. Right here. Here's the follow-up that he put. I remember he particularly lays out what he thinks his role was. And I just told him, nah. Like, Dak's like, nah, don't even say that. Here's what I think about you. Your role is to go show that you can be a true number one wide receiver. Minimum. Or at minimum a number 2 in this league. That's what Dak said. And then he goes on to say this. He's approached this camp with that intensity, with that mindset, and he's made exactly those kinds of plays in practice and after practice. I know he's given me tons of confidence in him, and I know that his confidence is growing, and the play callers have confidence in him to keep feeding him the ball. So with that, let's pull up the clip that No C tweeted today of their connection. I posted this as well, but I don't think I put it on my Twitter. Dak and Tolbert connected for a bomb today. Where they at, though? No C is active on site, man. He's giving y'all everything. There's another thing I bet most people missed right there. Mozzie Smith, to me, he got a tattoo of the Cowboys star on his arm. And my response to that was, I pretty much just told No C that most people who have never really experienced or been through sports psychology or had to learn about it won't appreciate that. But I told No C, I said, I do, because I know that's just a positive sign when you're that bought in to the point to where you want to take it so seriously that every time that you look down at your left arm, you think that, there's work to be done. That to me says something. So that's exciting to see, alongside some of the flashes that we've seen from him so far in camp as well. I think that he's definitely trending in the right direction at the very least. All right, now we're almost to that throw. Here we go. Mojo moment. Make sure y'all can see this. mojo moment right here. Dak Prescott to Jalen Tolbert. Threw it from the opposite 30 to about 10-yard line. Actually, he threw it from about the opposite, 25 maybe. Gather on the throw hop. Yeah, 25 yards. So from the 25 to the opposing, call it 15 or so. Really good throw. But Jalen tracks it well. He shows good ball skills, ball tracking. Here's the grab, and it's 2 feet in bounds. Can't wait to see one of those. That's the thing about Jalen Tolbert. Go back to last year, he's always displayed the really elite like body awareness and body contortion and the ability to, Tony toe tap on the sidelines and in the back of the end zone. So everything's there for the taking for Tolbert, man. The skill set's there. He's wired the right way intangibly. It's just about, can he go and get it done? Can he go and make it happen? Can he bring all the off-season work, behind the scenes work to the field on Sundays? And it's really just about mastering the sports the psychological element of the whatever pressure that you feel or the weight that you carry in regards to being a guy that's on the field this year in 11 personnel. So can you handle that? Can you slow your heart rate down in those crunch time moments? And I think that the repetition that I know that he's built up throughout this entire offseason, just because I trust what Dak is saying about him. I know that he's put the work in. And so usually you don't rise to the occasion in sports, especially not at this level. You fall to the level of your preparation, basically. So I hope people understand that. You don't rise to the occasion at this level of sports. You fall to the level of your preparation. Yeah! Do we still wait? Hold up. There's a couple other questions up here. You think Trey gonna play all 4 quarters Saturday versus? He should, man. I don't need to see anything else from Cooper Rush. You think CD will sit out games? No, he's gonna get his contract here any minute now. Seahawks fan here, but also a Nate Pete fan too. Hey, shout out to Eric Wallace coming over from the Seahawks side. Big fan of Nate Pete. Are you a Mizzou guy, Eric? I'm guessing that's the case. I think the deal gets done, G Soto. I do. I've always maintained that, just because I think that as long as there's not something that we don't know about in regards to his level of disdain for this front office or this team or this fan base, which he would have every right to be. But the Joneses are more scared. I promise you, they're more afraid of quarterback purgatory than they are of paying Dak Prescott whatever it takes to keep him here. But once again, the ball's not in their court anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and if you guys have enjoyed this, man, and you appreciate it and you want to support me, I'll put my Venmo and my Cash App in the YouTube chat box. You know, any and all support, financially or otherwise, is much appreciated. But I know some people like to do that. We haven't monetized the YouTube channel yet, so you technically can't give via super chat. So I just always give people the option. If they feel called and led to do so, then it is very much appreciated. And just know that, you know, it goes to better equipment, like this Shure microphone, this XLR microphone that you see right here, and that soundboard right there, the Rodecaster Pro 2. And, you know, I'm getting ready to invest in a new camera so that you'll be able to see me in all my humility, 4K resolution, caught in 4K now, instead of just the internal micro or the video. Or see, it's time for me to go to bed. I can't even speak clearly. Instead of the internal camera from the Mac here. But my Venmo is Landon-Holyfield. And my Cash App is first and last name as well, just with the $sign. It's money sign Landon Holyfield. But as always, the best way to support me and my continued growth doing this is just to share this content, tell somebody where to find me. That's it. Just one task. Kathy, thank you so much for the kind words over there. I appreciate you very much. Cameron, same to you, man. Thank you for the words. Appreciate that. If you're in here and you haven't followed me yet, be sure to do so, because I'm coming at you all season long. You might get tired of seeing me, but I hope you don't. Astro, what's good, my man? I'm about to sign off, unfortunately, but I'm glad you got to catch me at least for a couple minutes here before I give my closing statements. I'm trying to think, what else have we not covered? Is there anything? Somebody tell me. Speak up quickly if there's something pressing that I have failed to mention today. Hey, but the good news is it's all caught in not quite 4K Astro, so you can run it back on the replay. It'll be posted to my YouTube channel. It's live, and YouTube handles all that, or I guess StreamYard does. It's all synced up. It's connected. You won't have to miss anything if you don't want to. Trey Diggs looks good. Touched on CeeDee Lamb quite a bit. He ain't going nowhere. Don't worry about that. Nothing to worry about with CeeDee or Dak. Now that the Olympics are over, Jerry Jones can finally bite that $95 million bullet and pay the boys, and we can go win some football games. Any other questions? Any other questions? How is Jake Ferguson doing? No questions or concerns about Jake. Cropper. That's one thing that we didn't touch on, but we have touched on recently. The receiver situation is going to be interesting. The Cowboys are going to have to make some decisions, but whether it's if they only keep 5, then I mean you got to think about it. It's CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, and one of Jalen Cropper, Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flournoy, and I know I'm missing at least one more. They're going to have to make at minimum 2 really tough decisions as far as cutting people. Now I touched on, and I want you guys to hear me when I say this too. Let's see. The rules have expanded. For IRing players prior to the final 53 cut day. So here we go. How do I want to spin this here? The Cowboys wide receiver situation fascinates me. Even if they keep 6, which is no guarantee, the list is as follows: CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Brooks, and Jalen Cropper. That means they're still cutting 2 guys at minimum that they really don't want to. Tyron Billy Johnson, that was the other name I failed to mention a second ago. I knew I was forgetting one. So even still, they're cutting somebody like Billy Johnson or Ryan Flournoy. But with here's kind of the premise, like one of the loopholes that they can exploit. You get 2 guys now that you can IR designate to return prior to the final 53 cut. It used to only be 1, now it's 2. Now those guys do count towards your season-long total of 8 guys. I guess it's 8 guys that you can place on IR and designate to return once the regular season begins. But those 2 guys now you can list as IR designated to return. You can designate that. You can place that designation on them, and they would be eligible to return. I think there's still it would be at 8 games that they would have to miss. So essentially half the season they would be eligible to return for. So the reasoning behind that is why it would be potentially beneficial to exploit that loophole, is so that you can avoid a situation happening like what happened last year with Isaiah Land and the year prior with John Ridgeway. Because when you cut players, you don't just say we're going to put them on the 16-man practice squad. That's not how it works. Guys are subject to waivers first. So you don't get to just say, nah, we're keeping him and we're putting him on the practice squad. There's levels to this stuff. So wait. Here's another example of kind of what I'm talking about. I'd be sick if Ryan Flournoy was this year's version of Isaiah Land and John Ridgeway. Luckily, enough roster building loopholes exist to prevent that from happening. So I just want to see the front office get this one right. Athletes like 18 don't grow on trees. I believe that wholeheartedly, y'all. This dude is not, his body type and skill set is not common. Very uncommon, very unique. Don't want to see him go. And Jalen Cropper has probably played his way into earning that would-be 6th spot more so than Tyron Billy Johnson and Ryan Flournoy have. But the thing is, if you just like put him in a vacuum with Flournoy, it's much easier to find a Jalen Cropper body type and skill set than it is to find somebody like Ryan, who's just literally built different. So like if it were me, and especially given that he's a rookie this year, that's just somebody that I want to protect at all costs, just to see what he can kind of provide, what he can bring, give him a chance. I'm not concerned with the running backs. I'm not. There's plenty of work. I don't know. I mean, I'll just go ahead and pull it up since I'm already here. The running game is much more about the how you run the football as opposed to the who is actually doing it. So how versus who. The how matters way more than the who does. Period. What time is it? 10:57. All right, y'all. I'm out of here before 11 o'clock. No questions asked. Couple last questions in there. Get them in. Get your questions in. Yeah, hey, Shoes and Sports. Come on now, talk to him. Talk to him, man. I got all kinds of work on Deuce as well. I'm very passionate about that topic. Very passionate. Very much so. Can you guys see this? Nope, you can't. Let me pull it up for you. That one's easy for me, Jimmy Neutron's burner. Kalen Carson. Yep, Ratio knows. Good stuff, Ratio. I see you, my man. I see you. Thoughts on Zeke? Not as washed as most people make him out to be, but I don't want him leading this backfield in touches. I want him to oh, where did that come from? I want him to spell Rico in all likelihood. As long as Rico's healthy, I want him to spell Rico and just handle the short downs and distances and the goal line work. That's why he was brought here. But I don't want him leading my backfield in carries, just because I think you're capping your ability to make explosive plays happen in the run game. But the vision the vision's always going to be there. The power is always going to be there. He can get you 3 yards when you need it. B-Bird, thank you, my man. B-Bird. Is that the same B-Bird that I always hear talking to Sky? Are you always on Sky in Sky's chat, B-Bird? Please say yes. Let's go, man. This one's for you, B-Bird.
Y'all don't really want it like that.
Yeah. What's up, B Bird? Good to see you, man. I know, I hear you all the time. I'm tapped into Sky's show, man. Sky's one of them ones. Niner Nation. John Reyes from Niner Nation. Uh-oh. The North Star in the NFC. In the flesh, huh? Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you. Hit that like button for me if you're new here. And even follow, because you know you can hate the Cowboys all you want, and I very much so respect that, and I understand why you would. But you're gonna get the truth from me, so I hope that you can see that too. I hope you appreciate that. All right, y'all. Let me one more time, if there's any way that if you feel led and called and have the ability, the financial freedom to support me, this does contribute towards feeding my family, my 2 babies. This is what I do. This is what I was called to do. This is what I'm good at. This is the only thing I know. So I'm not going anywhere. But I appreciate y'all, because without y'all, I'm nothing. I can't do it. Brandon Humbert says, good show. Thank you, man. Love watching your streams from Jimmy Neutron. And I'm 1 week into doing this again. Really not doing this again. I'm 1 week into streaming live on YouTube. I'm expanding my repertoire a little bit, and I'm learning on the fly. So I appreciate y'all being patient with me, but I hope that it's entertaining and informative. New here, I'm about to subscribe. That's what I love to hear, Johnny. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, and welcome. Shout out to Johnny. This one's for you.
Yeah! What? Okay!
My guy, Johnny. Love watching your stream. Oh, I already read that one from Jimmy Neutrons. Thank you. We'll get this YouTube side of things monetized and caught up with all the other socials, and you guys will be able to the super chat thing will be real, and I'll be answering like all the questions. It'll just be easier for me to go question by question to make sure that I'm getting everything answered accordingly. I watch you for your info from Aaron Grimm on the TikTok side. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I bring info because of people like you. So the pleasure is mine. Yeah. So I got a project coming. Be on the lookout for it. It'll be on YouTube. It's not going to be live, but it's going to be called Run Rico Run. So that you're in here right now. Y'all stuck with me. It's a little teaser for you. Run Rico Run. How can we support? Man, so I've got my TikTok or my Venmo and my Cash Apps listed in the YouTube chat here. It's just my first dash last name on Venmo, and it's it's a money sign and then first and last name, no spaces. Just Landon Dash Holyfield on Venmo, Landon Dash and then money sign Landon Holyfield on Cash App. But that's not even that. That's only if you have the financial freedom to do so and you feel called to do that, man. It is not a requirement by any means. This is the goal is to just bring zero cost to consumer information. I want people to understand the truth about what's happening. So that's my job, to give fans like y'all who deserve to hear the truth, the actual truth, and no more of that crap that you see on fake take television, that mainstream media stuff. Just, it ain't it, man. But yeah, Run Rico Run, that's coming. That's my next project that I'm working on behind the scenes right now. Hey, James Pippin. What's up, James? I think, you know what? I'm sorry. I read your comment earlier in here. I think we were watching the JT O'Sullivan clip, and I completely forgot to go back and acknowledge that comment. But thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. The IG, so all my socials is at The Lando Show. Very simple. Everything's the same. B-Bird with a Cash App, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much.
Okay!
This one's for you, B-Bird. That's not for you. I got one even better for you. Here we go. This one right here. This is just the soundtrack. This gets me. Shout out to B-Bird. Thank you so much. But outside of that, man, you got it, man. I appreciate it. But seriously, all the support. You guys surprised how few and far between sometimes those active comments can be. But they motivate me. They keep me going. So I'm in the right place. I'm streaming live on YouTube. That's the best place for me. Get all the sound effects, all the bells and whistles, and it's just I'm more hands-on engaging in the chat. Okay, I'll wait for you. I'll stay live until you get in here. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the comments and the compliments. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all so much. This is what we do. Not going anywhere anytime soon. If you can't give financially, though, man, the best way to support me, like I said, share this content with somebody. Tell a friend. That's it. That's all I ask. Tell somebody where to find me. Hold up. What's your name? Oh, it's a cross. What do you think about the Commanders winning the division this season? Come on now.
All right, yeah, get him the hell out of here, will you, please?
Off with your head.
Get him out of here.
Get him
Throw
out of
him
here.
out.
You going somewhere, you got to give for this. Hey, man, so this is what I'm going to conclude with. Funny that you say that. So I've just recently I felt called to go above and beyond, and let's just say the Holy Spirit has been moving in my life for too long. I was raised in the church. I grew up in the church. My dad was the music pastor. In a lot of ways, it's my foundation. Okay, but like any imperfect sinner saved by grace, any man outside of one who's ever walked the face of this earth, we mess up. And we mess up every day. And we mess up over and over and over again. Right? I messed up a lot of different times. I'll continue to mess up. I'll mess up tomorrow probably. But I'm just working on taking those baby steps, developing a better relationship with my Lord and Savior. Because I know if there's anybody in this chat and on this planet that needs him, it's me. Okay. But for too long, I was so selfishly focused on me fulfilling these dreams and being mad at the world for things not working out the way that I always wanted them to. But, I just sort of had to accept, and maybe it's just the maturity. I'll be 30 this year. And just understanding that life is not your friend. Okay. The things of this world do not satisfy and they do not sustain. Society tells us one thing. Scripture tells us another, and so I'm just trying to just be more deliberate about carving out time to work towards developing my faith. And with that, I've just asked God to take control, because I can't wear all these different hats that I want to be. The best husband, the best father, the best sports media content producer, stay in shape, like keep my professional athlete body just so that I can feel good to play with my girls until they're in their 20s, or I guess until they're old enough to grow up and not want me to play with them anymore. I want to feel good for them. I want to be that dad that can do I want to definitely be able to save lives. I want to be able to save myself. I want to be able to fight for my family if I have to. If just a situation came up, I want to be strong and I just want to be able to protect my family, right? But I do it for other reasons too, because I know that discipline has just a funny way of manifesting itself through every aspect of your life. And so one of the things, it's just a non-negotiable for me that I go to the gym every single weekday and I do something. I sweat, I move, and I take pride in functional fitness. But just because I dealt with so many different aches and pains and ailments in my time as a professional athlete pitching. And so I was just constantly looking, like my free time was spent figuring out ways to feel better, like to strengthen areas of the body that get just weakened and sort of atrophied from sitting too much, like I'm doing right now. Like I'm going to have to do some activation before I go to sleep tonight just to feel good when I lay down, take myself out of that anterior pelvic tilt, just things like that, man. So, but there's so many things that we get caught up in. And TikTok's gonna make me slide this puzzle to stay on here. We get caught up in the things of this world too much, and we fail to recognize that no matter our trials, our tribulations, our failures, our transgressions, our sin, all sin is created equal, right? No matter the things that we go through, that we hold it, that we internalize and just feel any type of way towards, but especially like the most powerful one is like just that what punched me in the gut is when you just start to think about and be honest about what the Bible is telling you. You get to the gates of heaven. I don't want to stand face to face with Jesus and hear the words, "Turn from me, for I never knew you." I mean, that to me is terrifying. Borderline bring me to tears right now. But it's just crazy that you begin to sort of submit to that and really try to just pray about God, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. Your plan for me is better than my plan for myself. I'll follow your lead. You tell me where to go. If you just be deliberate, I'm telling y'all, man, prayer changes things. It's amazing. You feel the weight of the world lifted up off your shoulders. And when you just stop trying to take everything into your own hands, man, it's too much. We are not capable as humans. We're not built to handle all that. But luckily for us, and this is everything. This is it. Sum it up into 3 little sentences. And this will be my outro calling card. Prayer changes things. Let go and let God, and don't worry about how short you have fallen in your life, because there's nothing that can't wipe our slate, or that we can do that we can't be forgiven for. Okay, so that's number 2, and number 3 is the war is already won. There's no body in that tomb, in the grave where they buried him after he was crucified. It's not there anymore. You can't go see Jesus's body. It's not physically there. And to some people, they try to say that's proof that he never existed. But I beg to differ. So, my daughter's coming into this world. They changed my perspective on a lot of things. 2020, that year, that speaks for itself. That changed my perspective on a lot of things. But I just kind of reached a breaking point where I was like, look, either I continue carrying the stress of trying to be all these different things and trying to just fit in with society, or I can do what I was called to do, be bold in my faith, and just try to be a beacon of light in a dark world. Once again, I'm not a preacher. God knows how imperfect I am, how many times I have sinned and will continue to sin throughout the rest of my life. Part of being a Christian, it's not being perfect. It's just admitting that you're not. So, man, I hope that speaks to somebody today. If just one person, if it's just one, and then it's enough. The war is already won.